How we doing, everybody? Welcome to the show. My name is Bo.
I'm Jamie, and this is
Adjusting to Life, a chiropractic married couple's take on life, love, business, parenting, all the ups and downs, mess ups, screw ups, funny, sad, happy moments, everything in between.
Yep.
Well, welcome to the show, Adjusting to Life with Dr. Jamie and Dr. Bo. Kind of rhymed,
It
like
did.
Dr. Seussish.
You were good on that. That's good.
So today, what are we talking about? We're talking about leading by example, which I do 100% perfect all the time. Not. But you try your best, right? It's one of the 4 agreements, book I just read. It's pretty good.
It's good book.
But leading by example, and ultimately, the focus in this episode anyway is how to instill healthy habits in our children, so that we're raising strong, confident adults at some point. So when they do go out, not that you won't ever worry or have to help them at some point, but that we've trained them up in the ways that are necessary to go be successful. And I think it's super easy to worry about what school they're in, private, this, that, and the other, public, what programs they're doing, what sports team they're on. Do they need to be on this sports team and drive for, like all the music classes. I feel like we were busy as kids with things, but there's just a lot that a lot of kids do that, not telling anybody how to live their life, but it just seems like a lot to me. And so I look at that and I go, okay, well, what do we do first? And I think to make us, like I said, a strong human, a strong contributor to society, I think showing them by action, right? Like we don't need to tell them how to do these things, and they get enough talk at them enough in this world. And I think we were just talking, about some things on this topic, and I think involving our children, not just showing them. Like when we're working out in the garage, we have a home gym now, like, do you guys want to come out and learn how to do some things? And eventually, it was a lot of no. And then all of a sudden one day they just walked up and pick up a dumbbell and start, copying you and doing things. And hey, Dad, what can I do next? Hey, Mom, how does the Peloton work, right? And so all of a sudden now we're encouraging them too by, hey, you're doing these things. Did you know what you get from doing these things? You know what's going to happen to your body now? You know how strong you can get from this, or what muscles this is working, and why are we doing this, right? So I think the why behind the what is huge for kids. And then them knowing that there's an open door rather than like, oh, Dad's in the gym. Don't go in the gym right now. Mom's in the office. Don't go in there. Them knowing they're welcome at any point in time, except when we're recording this. Stay out of here, kids.
Well, I think
But that's been a big one for me, is involving them.
Well, and I think as parents, it's easy to minimize the power of education to the kids, of just telling them the why behind what you're doing, because it can be so easy to just, oh, I'm working out because it makes me healthier. Oh, I'm working out because it makes me stronger. Oh, because it's gonna make me feel good. That's such a surface answer that for a kid, if that's why they think that they're gonna do it, well, maybe that doesn't resonate with them, or maybe for them
boring.
it doesn't sound important enough.
I don't want to work out with those reasons.
And so, yeah, I think the more that they know, there's power in knowledge. And I think that as parents, obviously it's our job more than any other person that's in their lives to just educate them on all of the pieces of life in an organic way and not push it, Yes, there's some things I'm not going to let my kids do, like, what time was it last night when they wanted more candy, like 11 o'clock at night?
I don't know.
It was like, we were like, I kicked
I've
him in the
given up
foot
on
for
what
saying
time
no. And so, but then it's the education behind that, like, okay, buddy, well, your body is going to have to work really hard to process that sugar, it's going to make your wake up really hard, and you're going to feel yucky when you wake up. Like, okay, now I know if I wake up because I eat this, like, I don't want to do that. So, cool. I guess I'm not happy with you for saying no, Mom, but I'll still listen, At least that's my idea.
No, this is a prime example of putting a why behind the what is right here. The other night, last weekend, Friday night, Max is up. It's like 1:30, and he's just like, I can't sleep. So turn your TV off, duh. So we get everything done, we get him off. Still, he can't sleep. It's like 30, 40 minutes with like all dark. And I look at him, and he's like, Dad, just let me be awake. I want to be awake. And I said, dude, you have baseball tomorrow. And if you don't go to sleep, you're going to feel like garbage trying to play for 2 or 3 hours. And he goes, and he lays down. He says, "Good night, Dad. Can you turn my fan on?" And I didn't hear from him again. He went right. I mean, probably took a few minutes, but he didn't move again. Mm-hmm. So we gave him something. It wasn't just because I said it, right? It's the why. And so I think with grocery shopping, can I get this? Well, no. How come? Because it's not good for you. It's junk food. Okay, but could you tell him why and say, hey, look at this ingredient. Do you see, if you see any colors or numbers on here, and honestly, if you see more than 1 or 2 words that you don't know what it says, it's probably not very good, right? So we try to avoid that, and then teaching them that, look how most of those foods are in these aisles, and look where we tend to shop, right? So start to learn the areas where we go, mm-hmm. and then you can kind of pick and choose, like, now you can ask in these areas, can I get this? Mm-hmm. And then I think also when you say no to something, again, they're like, oh, this is one of those things. Mm-hmm. No, it's not perfect. They're kids. They have attitudes at times. But and also we eat candy. We have pizza. Like, it's not like we don't. We just try to do the majority of the time not to. Mm-hmm. I think don't judge the success of our garden, but I think when we put a vegetable garden out there, I think involving the boys in what do you want to try to grow? Come help me water it. Let's check on if it's grown at all. Mason picks kale and chops on it. Like, even that interested them enough to ask questions that then led to, well, this is how a plant grows. And then led to me saying, I don't know what that part is. Let's look it up together, right? Mm-hmm. And so that could have been me watering the plants, coming back in, them doing whatever they were doing. But instead now, we had neurons connecting like crazy about what does a plant do and how does it grow and how does the sun work and what does soil do. And like 20, 30 minutes of botany lesson later, we have more value in the day. Mm-hmm. And they understand the importance of a vegetable. And now maybe when we go to the store, we can talk about, look at all the kale here, just in one store. And look what we had to do to grow that little tiny bit, right? That perspective of a little bit more real world action. So now the mind is working, right? It's not just physical, it's not just health or nutrition. Now it's like growing their minds to work more because they're constantly with us and learning from us. Because man, like, it's proof. Like, you look at me and then you look at our kids, and some of the things I get angry for them for is just an exact replica of my response to stress, because they're watching everything we do when we don't think they are. Like, how many times has our kid said something inappropriate or like this and that, and they're like, oh, that sounds like me, right?
Monkey see, monkey do.
And so, yeah, I think leading by example is so important, because we only have a little bit of time to impact these kids. Like, yeah, they're home till they're 18 or so, but most of the parents I know of, like 13, 14-year-olds and up, they're busy, they're gone, they're doing stuff, they're running around. Like, yes, you still get them, but this initial 10, 12 years is where you really can invest in them and just program those brain waves to be on a healthy wellness track. And it's never too late to start. I'm not perfect. I've gone through ebbs and flows of being better and worse, but I think when your kids see you trying over and over to do better and better, no matter what you think it looks like, they just see their mom and dad not quitting.
Right.
And I think that's the biggest thing, is just show your kids that you will never, ever quit, even when you fail.
And when you do fail, be real with them and apologize and call yourself out in the situation. I mean, I think that is, I just don't remember that too much growing up, and not that my parents had a lot that they had to apologize for, but I think just that humility of kind of seeing, like we've talked about before, when we were younger and our parents were 35, 40, however old they were, and we thought that they knew everything. Like, we thought that they were just like, they had it all figured out, and then
just a
20
bunch
years
of dummies
later we realized they knew nothing, and now neither do we. But the kids still think that. They still think that we know everything. We show them. We show them.
Stories of the Home podcast. Stuff falls down.
Failures. Bring it back. But we have to show them,
sure.
when we fail, and that it's okay to mess up. We're going to try harder to work at it again. And I remember, I don't know what book it was. It was a few years ago, but there's 2 main things that this author was saying that kids need, and it's power or control, and then love or attention. And so it's like, if you can give them those 2 things throughout the day in a healthy appropriate way, then their needs are met enough to just watch whatever else happens and just absorb it and do it. So if, in that grocery store example, no, you can't, we're going to teach you why you can't get this, but I see that you want something, so I'm going to give you the power and the control to go choose something, but I'm going to give you the parameters of what is a healthy choice here.
Yeah,
Right?
as I see a box of Lucky Charms in our pantry.
Just don't look at it.
Nobody's perfect. But yeah, so I think one of the biggest learning moments for me to kind of sum up some of these things and these ideas is that don't let a mess up, a screw up, a bad example that you set, because it's going to happen to some degree. You can't let that deter you from being a great example of being humble, of being apologetic, because that is such a necessary skill that so few people have to be accountable these days. It feels like something is always something else's fault, a situation's fault, a person's fault, a politician's fault, a policy's fault, when the reality is, like, you did it. You did what you don't feel good about. Nobody made you say it, feel it, think it, do it. You did it. And so I think to teach them that it's okay to go and like apologize. It's okay to say that you screwed up. And I think especially when I tell them, hey, the thing I just got, or the thing I just did wrong is usually what I'm asking you not to do. I just reacted in a way where I get upset with you for doing, and that's not cool to be a teacher that doesn't do what he says. So I'm really sorry for that. And they receive that in a way, like Mason put his hand on me the other day and he goes, it's okay. You're still the best dad in the whole world. Mm-hmm. And it was from a place of like you could see his tension leave. They just don't want you to be upset with them, because all they want to do is earn your love. And when you can show them that, yeah, I messed up, but my love for you is so much bigger than that feeling. Mm-hmm. And here's why, kids forgive so quickly to the point where you can almost slip into it too often, but you got to pay attention to that. But it's so powerful to teach your kids how to say I'm sorry, how to say I screwed up, nobody else's fault but mine. And to learn that now, for that to be more normal, is just, you will be the 1%er in that category, unfortunately, but you really will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's good. Mic drop.
All right, guys, if you made it this far, thank you for listening to the show. We really appreciate you. We've got more content and topics coming up. If you have something you'd like to hear about, please let us know, because we'd like to share info on what you actually want to hear.
And if you can like, comment, and subscribe, that would help us out, and share it with other people who you think would love it too.
Have a good day. Remember, progress, not perfection.
There you go.